To have a tool here. He's going to speak to us on career and finance. He's a second-year student at the Harvard Business School. We're really lucky to have him, but I'll let him introduce himself, so you can join me in just welcoming the tool.
Thanks, Amir, and also thanks, David, for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here just because I think you guys are all at a very, very good time in your lives to make a huge change and to really impact the trajectory of your lives for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And I thought about when David approached me, what do you want to talk about? I was thinking, what's one of the most important things that really should be on young people's minds? I thought, what about career? What about salary? What about student loans? And how do you think about that process? And I wanted to start by really doing three things, and that's what I'm going to cover today. So first, I want to talk about my career path, my journey, just to give you an idea of what's possible, what's out there, and to also better introduce myself to you. I'm also going to talk about general career options and how to get there, from point A to point B. I'm also going to talk a little bit about salaries and what that should mean to you. And then last but not least, I want to talk about loans and investing. And all these are going to be interwoven together because it paints one big picture. So first, let me tell you a little about myself. I'm a chemical engineer. I actually went to the University of Virginia. Loved it. It's a state school, really close to home for me. I'm originally from that area, I moved to that area when I was really young. And as far as chemical engineering is concerned, the reason I did is because I really like chemistry, I like math. And I went online to the National College Employers website and I looked at the salary and said the chemical engineers make $65,000 a year. And I was like, great, sign me up, I'm ready to do this. But that's not all that you're going to see here today. After I graduated, I went to work for a company called ExxonMobil. You guys may have heard of it, gas, oil, things like that. The Secretary of State, former CEO of ExxonMobil. Really love the company. It's a huge company, a lot of different opportunities and positions there, and I learned a ton. Currently, I'm a second-year student at HBS, as Samir mentioned. I'm happily married. My wife, Anjana's back there. She's a photographer, and she's helping me with it. And I'm 20 years old, so I feel like you may be thinking, hey, you have so much left to give, right? What else, what are you going to go do? And I want to tell you about that as well. So a lot of people are wondering, so what do you do at HBS? And I found a perfect image that summarizes what HBS is all about. And it's this right here. And what we basically do is just we think about business. It's actually not completely accurate. And once you get to business school, which is later on, if you want to go down that path, you really start thinking about, okay, how does the world work from a business standpoint? When Starbucks opens up a new shop out there, why did they open up a new shop? Who did they hire? How much did they pay their employees? Why did they charge you $5 for a cup of coffee, and why are you willing to pay $5 for a cup of coffee? So that's the kind of thing we're thinking about. A fun fact about me, I'm a chess master, so I've been playing chess, and just to prove to you that I am, here's a picture of me playing chess. So,
did you win?
Yeah, I won this game. So, it's important not just to have a career, but also think about the hobbies, because they're going to interplay and have a good impact in terms of where you're going to end up in life. Pure things, I play piano, it's back there. And I play lots of video games. I used to play a lot of video games. And I'm a very big proponent of personal finances. I think it's the #1 thing that can change your life. Just, when I get to the end, you're going to see small things in personal finance really add up over time. So it's going to make a big difference. I went on to found a startup called Value Over Money. I'm working on that at Harvard Business School right now. And one of the key takeaways for me is if you start really young, so your age group, there's no way you can't not be financially comfortable. So let me talk a little bit about one other not so fun fact, which is I right now have $100,000 in student loans. And you're probably thinking, how is he not melting on the floor right now? Because that seems really scary. But if you're able to follow some very simple piece of advice and build some foundational steps, you can manage loans and you can think about how you can use loans to make your career progress, as well as land that job that you want, and how you can use that to pay off those loans. So yeah, I have a lot of loans right now, and this is a reminder for me to make sure I have a good job. So a little bit about kind of the career path and trajectory, right? And this is really to spell for you that it doesn't matter where you start from, it's the actions that you take and what you are going to build upon the actions that you take. For me, I'm actually originally from India. I was born there. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the world map, that's that country. And India, if you don't know, has 1.3 billion people. There's another country on that map that has more people than India, and that's China. It's up there, 1.4 billion people. I just want to let that sink in. The combined population of India and China is about 35% of the world's population. So a third of all people are in those two countries. And it just goes to show you there's so much opportunity out there, and a lot of things that we take for granted, right? Oftentimes we think that America might be the only country in terms of what's important to us, but the future's going to look very different. The future's going to look different because these countries are not coming up, and there's going to be a lot of globalization. So you're going to want to position yourself where you're at the forefront of that globalization, where you're able to take advantage of the interplay between these economies. So just something to think about. So for me, I was born in South India, and then I came all the way over to Virginia. For me, there's a very complicated path, right? The first thing is if you start as an immigrant and you come from a very low class or low middle class family, how do you try to think about making it big in America, which is, I think, still a huge plan of opportunity. So this is me in India, and I was probably maybe 4 or 5 years old. And I'll never forget, just maybe a few months later, my grandmother asked me to go and actually pump water out of the well. So she came to me and she said, we're out of water, like you don't have running water, you need to go down to the well and pump and actually bring water back. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what do you mean you don't have running water? But that's a reality for a lot of folks, but that shouldn't change what you're capable of in the long run. So after I came to America, and and David reminded me that you guys are freshmen to seniors from high school. So I tried to find a picture of me when I was around that age, so that's me over there. And that's me with the old Navy shirt. So I know what you're thinking, if bad guy can become like this guy, there's hope, so that's good. And I learned a lot after coming here and seeing so many different things. Both my parents actually went to college. So I just took it for granted that I had to go to college, and I did. And I was able to combine something that was important, which is my dad said to me, make sure you get a job that will pay you for what you're going to do. Don't just learn those skills. Learn those skills up front. And I chose chemical engineering. I know some of you are interested in that, but that ended up being a very good decision. All right, so let me talk a little about finding the job. And I remember this in PHBA. I was sitting at an interview across, face to face with this guy, and this was for the ExxonMobil position. And I was thinking to myself, okay, if I get this job, I get to work right next to home. I'm going to be in Virginia, and it's going to be wonderful. I'll just forget about it, and we'll just go play video games. But the guy was talking to me, and he said, hey, you do realize that we don't have any more Virginia positions. We have a position that's open in Texas. And like alarm bells were going off in my head, and I was just thinking to myself, this is not what I signed up for. But what came out of my mouth changed my life forever. What I said was, oh, I'm okay with moving to Texas. And the guy said, oh, that's great. We really like what we've seen so far. You've got a good GPA. We're going to invite you to interview down in Texas. So the rest is history. I went down there. They liked me, and then I started my job down in Texas, in Houston, Texas. So I moved, 2,000 miles, something like that, from Virginia to Texas. And I left my family behind, but it was an adventure. And that's probably one of the best decisions I've made. It's a big risk. And I think that's an important takeaway here is you're going to be presented with lots of opportunities to take risks. So think about what that risk means to you and what the outcome is going to be. For me, it turned out really well. And one of the coolest jobs I've ever had after going to Houston was I was a plant engineer at one point. And they asked me, basically I was like a hired hand. They brought me over to Beaumont, which is like a small town in Texas. A lot of big oil companies there, a lot of chemical companies. And I worked the night shift for 2 months in a row. So basically I'd get up at like 5 p.m. and then I'd work until 5 a.m. in the morning. And I'd do this just nonstop. But I learned so much during that time because it's just another completely new learning opportunity. This is a picture of me, so I'm in complete like FRCs. They prevent if there's ever a fire, like the clothes won't burn, so they protect you. I've got a hard hat and everything on, glasses. I would be very surprised if any of you guys know what that thing is right next to what I'm saying. Does anybody have an idea? I'm sorry? Drill. You guys are, it's pretty close actually. It's based on the same concept. Anybody else want to take a guess? Huh? This is a turbine rotor. And a rotor is basically it's like a fan. It spins really fast and moves material. These are the things that are responsible for pumping fluids around every plant that you ever see. I don't know if you guys ever had a chance to go down to a plant and see what that's all about. But I learned about that. I got to stand next to it. That piece of equipment is about $1.1 million. And it's so smooth that if you took a microscope, you could see like the individual metallic frames on it. Just that smooth. But there's something important I learned very quickly. So I spent 2 years doing this kind of job, learned a lot. But then after 2 years, they came to me and said, hey, Axel, we want you to be an investment manager. I was like, I don't know anything about investments. And they said, we'll teach you. You just learn on the job, which is completely mind-boggling to me. I felt kind of bad. Like, hey, I spent all these years learning chemical engineering, and now 2 years later, you're going to do something really different. I said, no, it's not completely different. You're going to use what you learned there and just apply it in a different way, because we need you to think about investments for these kind of equipment right here. So I think that's another important thing, is if you're thinking about a job today and the skills you need today, that might not be what you do later on. In fact, I guarantee you it won't be what you do later on. Unless you get very specialized, unless you've been like a doctor or in a very particular field of law, then you may do that for a long time. But the world is changing very, very quickly. There are jobs today